I looked at every throw, every pass, because I wanted to just see kind of on the game on Thursday night, the whole offense, it just looked bad. But the national narrative is Bo Nix stinks. Bo Nix has had a regression. Bo Nix is going through a sophomore slump. Bo Nix is this. Bo Nix is that. And as I went back and dug through every single pass, now I'm no expert in the passing game. I'm not. But I can see a lot of things that went wrong. And there were some things that were on Bo. There were some things that were on protection. There were plenty of things that were on the receivers. And so it was a failure at every level of this offense. And it just wasn't Bo. The easy narrative is, hey, Bo's got bad feet. Bo was inaccurate. Bo was this. Bo was that. I don't buy into that. So you look at, there's a couple things, and I talked about this with Stokley. In the second quarter, 14-31 in the second quarter, they run a play pass. Now, a play pass to me is we're keeping 7 guys in protection. They keep 2 tight ends in. They motion Pat Bryant across the formation. Was it Pat Bryant? I think it was Troy Franklin across the formation. They motion him. They run Troy Franklin, and this is like the opposite or the same side kind of Yankee concept, which is a Yankee is one side, it's a 2-man route. One side runs the post, the other side runs the deep over. And you're playing off what the safety does. Is he stays high over the post, you throw the deep over. If he stays low and jumps the deep over, you throw the post. So they run it from the same side. So they motion it over. They run Franklin on the post, and behind it, as a switch release, they run Bryant on the kind of over or dig route in the middle of the football field. It's wide open, and Bo misses it. He throws the check down, right? That's a big play that he has that he doesn't take. There was a couple of those that he missed. Stokley did a great breakdown on that 3-by-1 bunch formation where they bust the coverage and Troy Franklin is on the corner wide open and they miss that. So, yes, they missed a couple of those over the course of the show or over the course of the game. But I'm going to tell you right now, there were probably 5 drops that happened in that game from receivers. 5 different times where a receiver should have caught the ball, had his hands on the ball, and dropped it. Ingram dropped 2. You got to be better. Think about this now. Bo was 16 of 28. You pick up those 5 balls, now he's all of a sudden 21 of 28. And maybe you break a tackle on one of those. Maybe one goes for a touchdown. Those
drops do happen in every game, though.
I understand
every
that.
Quarterback.
Yeah, and they were close. I mean,
right.
A couple of them were, I don't know about a drop on that one. I mean, he's
right,
throwing
but they were
to Ingram way out in front of him. And,
right, but there were several that should have been, in my mind, should have been caught. You should bail. But I'm just saying there were multiple things going on. I thought from a protection standpoint, there were a lot of leaky protections and a lot of muddy pockets early in that game where Bo is basically forced not to step up, where he's got to bail a little bit, and then he bails into a pass rush. One of the other things that happened on a consistent basis is I didn't think receivers got separation. I thought they got covered up, especially in man situations. They were playing kind of a 3-match, so it turns into man right off the bat. But one of the things the Broncos did from a coaching staff, which is smart, is they protected both edges before they release guys. So a lot of the times when you're running concepts, it's the underneath, the flat route is 1, and then the deeper route is 2, where they switched up where they're going deep to flat because those flat guys are blocking first for 1,001, and then they're releasing. And I didn't think there was separation from the wide receivers.
Well, wait. Don't blame the wide receivers, guys. That's a dependent position. We can't blame the wide receivers. I mean, they're not valuable at all, right? Wait.
Yeah.
They're not valuable.
Yeah.
They're dependent on the quarterback.
Touché.
So,
Touché.
we don't need top-notch wide receivers, right?
Screw them.
So, yeah, Joel.
I'll
Put that in your pipe and smoke
I'll give you
it.
the touche. Okay,
Thank
I'll be
you.
quiet.
You know what? That was well played.
That was well played.
I'll give you that.
Thank you.
So I didn't think they got great separation right off the bat. And then, like I said, I thought the pockets were muddy. And so now there were times where I think Bo got sped up because he had so many muddy pockets early. When they were clean, he didn't step up and make some throws that he should have made. So to Stokley's point, he did kind of fall out of the back of the pocket on several different occasions when he could have stepped up. But I just thought it was a kind of a failure on every level of the offense.
So you came away feeling better about Bo.
I came away feeling like when the narrative of, oh, his feet are so bad and he's inaccurate and this, that, and the other. Did he miss some things? Yeah, he missed some things. He did. But I thought across the board, Stoke, just across the board, looking at every pass play, I thought on just about every play, there was something that wasn't as detailed as it needed to be. Whether it was a drop, whether it was the depth of the routes by the receivers not being being too close or not being on the right timing, whether it was the offensive line being leaky, especially in the middle of the football field. And some of that, hey, the Raiders did a really good job of saying, hey, they're leaky here. Let's run some pick stunts where we're picking one dude coming down hard, looping the other guy, but we're always coming back up the middle right into Bo's face. And so I thought there was a lot of that went on too. So I walked away from it going, it didn't look as bad on – Bo didn't look as bad on the coach's tape as I thought it looked like while I was watching the game on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to hear, obviously, because I think we think the sky's falling around here right now at 8-2. And, oh, my gosh, what's happened to Bo? What's happened to Sean? So that's good to hear, Mark. Makes me feel better, obviously. I just think offensive football is hard. Offensive football can be really hard. And it's if one person screws up, offensive lineman misses a block, or wide receiver is a little bit off on their depth. Quarterback, gets out of the pocket, a little bit too early, feels pressure that wasn't there. Receiver has a drop. Now, next thing you know, that's 4, 5, 6 plays. You look up, and it's not all on Bo. It's this guy, that guy, this guy. Now you got a holding call. Now you got a false start. It becomes really difficult to be consistent and have a lot of success when it's one guy after another making mistakes, miss block here. And so it's one of those things where offensive football can be really difficult to play sometimes, especially when you're having one guy or another guy make a mistake. It seems like almost every play.
The details of this offense are just off. And that's all levels. That is protection details. That is quarterbacking details. That is receiving details. All the details are off. And it just goes to show you, man, the smallest of things become huge things in football. The Raiders offensively weren't doing much. But look at their details. They win that game if what? That holding call doesn't get called on Dante Thornton. Or is it Thornton? Yeah. Whatever the receiver is. The pick route doesn't get called. That was a touchdown that got called back on the same kid. He had and then he had a drop down on the sideline that was a big play. Like the little details of football is what is the difference between winning and losing.
You're all over it. I mean, that's offensive football at its core. That's coaching.
Yeah.
Right? The details matter. Be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. And so that's it's you got to clean that stuff up. And Mark talks about the Raiders, and he's all over it. The pick play, I think the Broncos blew that coverage. Even if it wasn't that guy, just you can't run into a guy. And that's what he did. But even he didn't even have to do it. Someone was blowing the coverage for the Broncos.